Many people believe that night is simply the end of the day, an unconscious pause between what was and what's coming. They turn off the light without thinking, throw themselves into bed, carrying the same worries, the same thoughts, and the same fears. But what they don't realize is that the mind never sleeps. I, Brian Tracy, have discovered that the moments right before sleep are the most powerful for reprogramming your thinking, redefining your character, and redirecting your destiny. While the body rests, the subconscious continues to work. That's why what you plant in your mind before closing your eyes will bloom when you wake. Don't go to bed with doubt. Don't fall asleep with frustration. Plant intention. Plant strength. Because every night is a doorway, and every morning is a new life. Change doesn't begin at sunrise. It begins the moment you decide what you take with you into sleep. And tonight can be that moment. For years, thousands of people have wondered why, despite their efforts during the day, they can't seem to move forward. They wake up early, fulfill their duties, try to stay disciplined, but something invisible keeps pulling them back into the same life. The answer isn't only in what they do during the day, it's in what they allow into their minds just before they sleep. That quiet moment when the outside world shuts off and all that's left is you with yourself is the most powerful time of the day. Most people waste it with distractions, social media, worries, or simply passing out from exhaustion. But you are not like most people. You can turn that moment into your secret weapon. The mind is like a garden. Whatever is planted before sleep is nurtured throughout the night. Every thought, every mental image, every phrase repeated during that transition between wakefulness and sleep sinks deeply into the subconscious. And the subconscious doesn't argue, doesn't filter, doesn't judge. It simply accepts and acts. That's why if you fall asleep telling yourself you're not enough, that you can't do it, that you're tired of everything, your mind will take it as a command and begin shaping your reality around that belief. But if, before closing your eyes, you tell yourself that you're capable, that you deserve more, that you're building the best version of yourself, then your subconscious will work all night to align your thoughts, emotions, and actions with that new direction. Think about this. When you fall asleep with a repeated thought, your mind processes it over and over like an endless, what are you letting echo inside you? What story are you telling yourself right before giving in to sleep? Because that story will become the script of your life. Success doesn't start with action. It starts with internal programming. It doesn't matter how much you do during the day if your mind is quietly sabotaging you at night. Now imagine that each night is a mental training session. You don't need more than 5 minutes. Just close your eyes, take a deep breath, and repeat with conviction, I am moving forward. I am in control. My mind works in my favor. Everything I desire is on its way. These phrases, spoken with intention, aren't just words. They are commands, direct instructions to your deeper mind. And that mind is what drives your behavior, your emotional state, and your ability to choose. That's where real transformation happens. So from today forward, I want you to make a promise to yourself. Don't let the final hour of your day be ruled by chance. Make it sacred. Make it strategic. Before sleep, you hold the power to shape who you'll become tomorrow. And if you use that power every night, it can take you to a level of discipline, focus, and confidence you never thought possible. Life doesn't transform by luck. It transforms through intention, and intention is planted in the mind when no one is watching, when everything is quiet, when all that remains is you and your inner voice. Each night is a golden opportunity to rewrite the story you carry deep inside your mind. But most people live trapped in a narrative they didn't consciously choose, limiting beliefs, past wounds, and outside voices repeated until they became their own. All of that collects in the subconscious like an automatic script that controls your reactions, your choices, and your outcomes. And the most alarming part, we don't even notice. We act as if we're free when in reality we're still following instructions that others placed in us without us realizing. I've seen intelligent, hardworking, determined people fail again and again, not because of a lack of effort, but because of an inner program that sabotages them right when they're about to succeed. Why? Because deep in their minds, that old voice still echoes, you're not enough. You don't deserve more. That's not meant for you. And even when they try to move forward, every step they take activates an invisible resistance. It's like running with a chain tied to your ankle. No matter how hard you try, if you don't Break that chain at the root, your progress will always be limited. And that root is found at night, in that short moment between being awake and falling asleep, in that delicate space between consciousness and the subconscious, where the mind lowers its defenses and absorbs everything you give it. There are no filters in that space, no reasoning, only reception. That's why the thoughts you entertain before falling asleep hold a power few people truly understand. They act like seeds thrown directly into fertile ground, your soul. And whatever you plant there will grow, whether you're aware of it or not. Those words, those mental pictures, those lingering emotions become the raw materials your mind uses to shape your reality the next day. Now imagine this, a man who every night before closing his eyes visualizes himself achieving his goals clearly and with deep emotion. A man who repeats with certainty that he is capable, disciplined, and worthy. One who feels grateful for what he has experienced and confidently declares what is yet to come. That kind of repetition, night after night, starts to reshape how he sees himself. And when a man changes the way he sees himself, he changes his entire destiny. Because no goal, no transformation, no long-term success can be built on the wrong self-image. Self-image doesn't change just by saying positive words in the mirror. It changes through emotional consistency. It shifts through focused intention. It transforms when you turn each night into a powerful mental ritual. Think about the times you've had dreams so vivid, so real, that even after waking up, you still felt them. That happens because your subconscious can't tell the difference between what's real and what's imagined with intensity. So when you tell yourself you are strong, even if you don't fully feel it yet, your mind begins to accept it as truth. And if you repeat it night after night, there comes a moment when that phrase no longer sounds like a hope. It feels like a fact. And inner facts lead to external action. A man who feels strong behaves with strength. A man who feels worthy makes bold choices. A man who feels capable doesn't hesitate in the face of fear. You don't need the perfect conditions, a flawless past, or anyone's permission to begin this change. All you need is a clear decision and a nightly commitment to yourself. Just before you sleep, take a pause. Close your eyes, breathe deeply, and affirm who you want to become. Not what the day tried to convince you that you are, because the day may have knocked you down. But the night belongs to you. The world may have said, you can't, but you have the final word. And if that word is spoken every night, with sincerity, with belief, with persistence, your life will begin to change from the inside out. Nighttime reprogramming is the most radical act of silent self-discipline. It doesn't require physical effort. It doesn't demand extra time. It only requires presence and a decision. You're going to sleep anyway, so why not do it strategically? Why not turn that nightly ritual into an act of inner leadership? Imagine each night as an opportunity to speak to your future self. What would you say? What kind of mindset do you want to wake up with the next morning? Do you want to keep waking up with doubt, exhaustion, and a sense of defeat? Or do you want to open your eyes with purpose, direction, and energy? That decision is made before, not after. It's made at night in what you choose to think, what you choose to feel, what you choose to affirm. A mind trained nightly toward greatness cannot keep living a mediocre life. It's impossible, because a time will come when your reality can no longer sustain such a high-level identity. It will have to evolve. It will have to align. The outer world will begin to reflect your inner world, but it all starts there, in that intimate, quiet, yet powerful act of speaking truth to yourself before you sleep. Don't expect the world to treat you differently if you treat yourself carelessly. Don't expect miracles if you keep repeating misery. Don't expect strength if every night you weaken yourself with unconscious thoughts. You are in control, and that control begins in the dark when you choose what you carry into sleep. This is where many people fail. They know they need to change their mindset. They understand that thoughts shape their reality, but they don't commit to the daily process. They expect one try to work. They repeat one affirmation for 3 nights and then quit. They say, it doesn't work. But the mind doesn't change by chance. It changes through consistency. You wouldn't go to the gym once and expect a brand new body. So why expect a new life with just one night of intention? Transformation demands repetition, persistence, and deep respect for the power that each night holds. This is where you can create real change through a short, intentional ritual. It's not about adding more tasks. It's about replacing the useless with the powerful. Before going to bed, turn off distractions. Take a deep breath, close your eyes, and speak to your mind like a leader speaks to their army with firmness, clarity, and vision. You can say, I am at peace. I am growing. I am reprogramming my mind. Tomorrow, I will wake up stronger. It doesn't matter if you don't feel it yet. Say it anyway, because your mind listens. Your subconscious records it, and with time, that nightly repetition will become your new normal. Many men search for an extraordinary life, but they aren't willing to care for the ordinary, and there is no moment more overlooked than the night. But night is the beginning. Night is the seed. Night is the fertile ground where character is cultivated. If you want your life to change, start by honoring that moment. Don't go to bed in chaos. Don't fall asleep in noise. Cultivate silence. Cultivate intention. And remember, you are not your thoughts. You are the one observing them. And you have the power to choose which thoughts to keep and which to let go. If this message is resonating with you, take a second to subscribe to the channel so you can keep receiving practical tools to transform your mind, your focus, and your destiny. And I want to ask you a question. When I encourage you to answer in the comments, what powerful phrase do you want to install in your mind each night before sleep? Write it down. Declare it. Make it yours. Because an affirmation repeated with intention can become a new identity. Let's return to the beginning. Most people sleep to escape, but you can sleep to build, to program, to lead yourself. This quiet, simple nighttime practice is more powerful than any momentary motivation because it doesn't rely on your mood, the weather, or how your day went. It relies on just one thing. A decision. One decision not to go to bed as a victim, but to go to bed as the author of your story. Each night, you reaffirm your vision. Each affirmation rebuilds your mind. Each conscious thought displaces years of unconscious programming. And that process, though invisible at first, is unstoppable when you stay consistent. Never underestimate the power of repeating the right thing even when you don't feel it. The emotion will come later. The belief will be born from the action. And the action begins with words. Internal words. Words you choose, nurture, and defend. Because at the end of the day, your mind doesn't respond to your wishes. It responds to your commands. So what command are you giving it tonight? Because that's where everything begins. Every man lives according to the script he accepts as truth. Some live in survival mode because since childhood, someone kept telling them they didn't deserve more. Others fear success because they grew up hearing that money corrupts. Some sabotage themselves as they approach a goal because deep down they don't believe they are good enough. All of that conditioning, those mental programs, gets activated every night if you don't confront them. If you fall asleep without questioning what you've been taught to believe, that programming keeps running in the background. You keep living by a pattern you didn't write but that you're faithfully executing. That's why the moments before sleep are so crucial. It's the only time in the day when you can speak directly to your subconscious without interruptions. No distractions, no external judgments, no social pressure, just you, your inner voice, and a sacred space to plant truth. And when I say truth, I don't mean what the world says about you. I mean what you choose to believe about yourself. Because your real power isn't in your current abilities, it's in the conviction with which you decide to rewrite your mental identity. If every night you visualize yourself walking with confidence, speaking with clarity, making firm decisions, achieving concrete results, your mind begins to adopt that image as real. Not because it's a psychological trick, but because the human brain is designed to adapt to the image that is most often repeated with emotion. That's called neuroplasticity, and it's the most powerful gift you have as a human being, your ability to rewire your own mental circuits with intention. But that intention requires consistency. It requires silence. It requires focus. And that's where most people fail. They reach the end of the day, exhausted, emotionally drained, looking for any distraction that disconnects them from themselves. So they fall asleep like a stone sinking to the bottom of a lake, without direction, without awareness, without intention. But you are not here to repeat that cycle. You are here because you're ready to take control, to consciously choose what kind of man you want to be tomorrow. And that is not defined in the mirror. It's defined in the darkness, in the last conversation you have with yourself before you close your eyes. Understand this clearly. Every thought you tolerate before sleep is a command your mind will follow the next day. If you fall asleep telling yourself you're a failure, that nothing changes, that it's always the same, your mind will find ways to prove it. But if you fall asleep affirming that you're growing, that you're healing, that you're building something great, your mind will begin to search for evidence of that too. Not because it's magic, but because that's how selective attention works. You see what you believe. Your mind filters reality based on the script you give it, and that script can be rewritten every single night. Think of this as the most important training of your life. You don't need weights, you don't need books, you don't need outside motivation. All you need is to close your eyes and declare with intention who you are. You can start with simple but powerful phrases. I'm ready for what's new. I release the past. I am growing. I am capable. I am disciplined. I am focused. Repeat them slowly as you breathe. Feel them. Write them down if needed, and do it every single night. Because real change doesn't happen in grand decisions. It happens in small acts repeated with faith. A single affirmation, a single breath, a single mental image, and the next day, a new energy, a new attitude, a new man. You don't need the world to change to start feeling different. You don't need circumstances to align magically. All you need is a new conversation with yourself. And that conversation must begin each night. Because even if everything outside looks the same, your experience of life is not determined by the external. It's shaped by the internal, the quality of your thoughts, the tone of your inner dialogue, the story you keep repeating, even without realizing it. And if that story isn't one of a strong, disciplined, resilient, focused man, then it's time to rewrite it. No one else will do it for you, because no one else sleeps inside your mind. There is something that happens in the depth of night that few people understand. When you fall asleep with a thought charged with emotion, positive or negative, your mind amplifies it. Your subconscious replays those patterns throughout the night in a kind of silent loop. That's why many men wake up tired, lacking clarity or energy. It's not their body, it's their mind. They slept for 8 hours, but spent the whole night cycling through fear, doubt, anxiety, or guilt. And that drains more than insomnia. It's an invisible but persistent poison. The solution isn't to sleep more, it's to sleep better. And sleeping better doesn't just mean closing your eyes, it means preparing your mind as if it were a temple, organizing your thoughts before surrendering to sleep. And that doesn't happen by chance. It happens through practice. It happens through intention. You can use the night to cry in silence or to build your next victory. You can use it to reopen old wounds or to program your healing. You can use it to sink into dark thoughts or to visualize the bright future you are creating. That choice is yours, and you must make it every night. No excuses, no exceptions. Visualize what you want. See with the eyes of your mind how the man you want to be behaves, how he walks, how he speaks, how he faces challenges. Feel what you would feel if you were already living that life. Your brain does not distinguish between a real experience and one vividly imagined, with emotional intensity, and what it cannot distinguish. It believes. That is power. That is transformation. That is personal leadership, and it is available to you every night in exchange for just a few minutes of total focus. Maybe right now, life is not how you want it to be. Maybe you've failed more times than you care to admit. Maybe you've tried to change before and gave up. But this time is different, because this time you know where the core of change lies, and it's not out there. It's right here within your mind, in your inner voice, in the decision to take responsibility for what you plant before you sleep. Because if you plant discipline, you will harvest structure. If you plant gratitude, you will harvest abundance. If you plant vision, you will harvest purpose. The process is not immediate, but it is inevitable. If you are consistent, your mind will change. And if your mind changes, your entire world changes with it. Never underestimate the power of a positive thought held with conviction before going to sleep. It is more powerful than any morning motivation, because it doesn't depend on your mood, your routine, or your surroundings. It only depends on you, on what you choose to think, what you choose to repeat, what you choose to install. Because every night is an opportunity, and every wasted opportunity is one more day, just like yesterday. But every well-used night is a seed of transformation. and you have started to plant. Don't stop. There is a brutal truth that few want to accept. You are already being programmed every night, whether you like it or not, whether you choose it or not. Your mind does not shut down when you sleep. It keeps working. It keeps recording. It keeps organizing information and strengthening mental connections. So if you don't take control of that process, someone or something else will. The music you hear, the last video you watched, the conversation you had, the fear you didn't face, everything enters, blends, and becomes the raw material of your identity. So the real question is not whether you'll be programmed tonight, but with what? With trash, with anxiety, with doubt, or with power, vision, and purpose. Because if you don't choose it, the algorithm chooses for you. And trust me, the algorithm doesn't want you strong, free, and disciplined. It wants you docile. It wants you dependent. It wants you consuming. It wants you living half a life. And to achieve that, it distracts you. Right when you're most vulnerable, at night, it puts in front of you images that excite but don't nourish. It offers content that entertains but doesn't build. It feeds you empty words that don't challenge you, that don't discomfort you, that don't wake you up. And if you allow it, your mind will start to live on emotional crumbs. You will fall asleep, numb, but not transformed. And every morning will feel the same. Every week will echo the last. Every year will become a repetition disguised as routine. But you have another option. You can do what leaders do. You can close the day with an act of consciousness. Turn off the garbage. Turn on your intention. Take 5 minutes for yourself to close your eyes, visualize your vision with power, and speak to yourself as a warrior is spoken to before battle. Because every day is a battle, and no warrior enters combat without first strengthening his mind. No one becomes a leader by accident. It all starts with a ritual, a practice, a silent, consistent, firm decision, and there is no moment more fertile for that than the night. Remember, the mind doesn't understand logic, it understands repetition. You may not believe in yourself, but if you repeat every night that you are capable, your mind will begin to act as if you are. You may not feel strong, but if you visualize yourself acting with strength, your body will start to follow that model. Because the subconscious doesn't distinguish between desire and action, it only understands which image is repeated most. And if the dominant image is that of a defeated man, that's the life you will live. But if the dominant image is that of a man in control, under construction, in progress, there will be no circumstance that can fully stop you. This is not empty optimism. This is mental training. This is about taking responsibility for what enters your mind when no one is watching. About accepting that the future is not built with grand plans that are never executed, but with small daily rituals sustained over time. The most important of all, the nighttime ritual, that sacred moment when you decide who you want to be tomorrow. That quiet instant where you have the power to program yourself to become more disciplined, more focused, more grateful, more courageous. No one else can do it for you. No one can rescue you from a mind you refuse to re-educate. But if you do it, if every night becomes a session of intentional self-programming, what feels hard today will begin to feel natural. What seems distant will start to feel inevitable. What hurts now will transform into strength. Because nothing threatens mediocrity more than a man who takes control of his mind before falling asleep. A man who understands that success isn't improvised, it's cultivated in silence. And if that silence is filled with purpose, it builds a life that no external noise can tear down. Every night can be an act of mental freedom or mental slavery. That's the quiet decision you make without realizing it. If you allow your final thoughts to be dominated by fear, guilt, the past, or self-pity, you are giving away your freedom. You are surrendering to a story you didn't write, but continue to perform. It's as if every night someone hands you a script, and without question, you read it, live it, and then wake up wondering why everything feels the same, why each day carries the same burden. Boo! You can break that script. You can write your own. Every night you can refuse to go to sleep as the man you no longer want to be and choose to lie down as the man who is ready to rise. Real change isn't dramatic. It doesn't come with applause. There's no audience. It happens quietly, in the dim silence of your room. In that brief pause when you close your eyes and decide firmly, that's enough. Enough of the thoughts that keep you small. Enough of the lies planted by others. Enough of letting the past repeat itself in your present. Because if something keeps repeating, it's still being allowed. It's still being fed. It's still being validated by your attention. So tonight, take your attention away from anything you don't want to multiply. Don't focus on the debt. Don't dwell on the argument. Don't obsess over the mistake. Acknowledge it, but don't feed it. Focus on what you want to grow. Focus on what you want to build. Focus on the image of the man you want to become. See him clear, strong, determined. Watch him in your mind. Watch him walk, act, succeed, and then, as your breathing slows, affirm, I am that man. I am becoming him. I deserve this. I believe it. I'm doing it. This is not a hollow spiritual practice. It's a high-level psychological strategy. It's you being deliberate about shaping your identity. The difference between a stagnant life and a growing life doesn't lie in what people wish for. Everyone wants to change. Everyone dreams of a better life. But very few turn their nights into a mental workshop. Very few respect the invisible. Very few understand that everything visible was first a thought held firmly in the dark. If you hold that thought, even if it feels distant at first, one day it will feel normal. You won't remember the exact moment the shift happened. You'll just know that you're no longer who you used to be. And it all began on an ordinary night when you decided to reprogram yourself. You don't need to know how it will all happen. You just need to know what you want to plant. The rest will be handled by your mind, by your focus, by your consistency, but none of that can activate if you keep going to bed carrying the same emotional weight. Empty it out. Let go. Before you sleep, give thanks for what you've learned. Close the chapter of your day with humility and dignity and tell yourself, even if you don't fully believe it yet, I am ready. I am on my way. My mind is already working for me. That single seed, spoken with intention, is more powerful than years of mental chaos, because what you plant with conviction blooms with strength. Every night matters. Every night shapes you. Every night is a chance. Don't wait for Monday. Don't wait for next month. Don't wait for a miracle. Wait for the silence of tonight. And when it comes, be ready. Because in that instant, in that final breath before sleep, you hold the power to decide who you will be tomorrow. And that decision is the most revolutionary act a man can make when he's ready to leave his old self behind. What a man does before he sleeps reveals his true level of inner leadership. It doesn't matter how much he accomplished during the day. It doesn't matter how many tasks he completed, goals he reached, or praise he received. What truly matters is how he speaks to himself when the noise fades, when the pressure lifts, when there's no one left to impress. Because that silent dialogue between the man he was today and the man he wants to be tomorrow, that's what shapes his life. Not the occasional effort, but the repeated narrative spoken in the dark. That's the voice that molds his character. And here lies the truth. Every man is a mental architect, whether he accepts it or not. Each night, you build an internal structure, a castle or a prison. And the raw material for that structure is not the events of your day, but the thoughts you allow, the emotions you feed, and the words you choose to speak. Sleep is not the shutting down of consciousness. It is the handing over of your mind to the subconscious. So ask yourself, what are you handing over each night? Doubts, complaints, anger, or gratitude, direction, and resolve? What you plant there is later reflected in your decisions, your mood, your clarity. That's why some men don't understand why they keep choosing the wrong path. It's not bad luck. It's bad programming. Remember this. It's not just your body that sleeps. Your mind sleeps too. And that mind remains alive, active, and moldable. This is why high-performance athletes, world leaders, and visionary entrepreneurs fiercely protect their nights. They have routines. They use affirmations. They engage in mindful practices. Not because they're superstitious, but because they've understood, with brutal honesty, that the mind cannot move forward if it drags the same weight every night. You can't conquer tomorrow if every night you reinforce the chains of yesterday. You can't wake up strong if you fall asleep with thoughts that weaken you. This is not about pretending. It's not about denying pain, mistakes, or exhaustion. It's about refusing to let those things be the last thing that enters your mind. Acknowledge them. Yes. But don't hold on to them. Don't make them your pillow. Don't go to bed, hugging your wounds as if they define you. Breathe through them. Thank them for what they taught you. Then let them go. Give your sleep a clean, focused mind A clean mind is not an empty one, it's a mind filled with the right thoughts. Thoughts that build, that uplift, that move you forward. Even while you sleep, every time you repeat a powerful affirmation with conviction before bed, you are installing a line of code in your mental operating system. Maybe you won't notice change tomorrow, maybe not even next week, but one day in a moment that used to paralyze you, you'll react differently, with strength, with clarity, with a confidence you didn't know you had. And then you'll realize that reaction didn't come out of nowhere. It was the result of hundreds of nights spent planting the right image, the right belief, the right thought. Because what is repeated in silence manifests in public. Don't underestimate that power. Don't dismiss that moment. Don't let it become a hollow routine. Make it sacred. Make it yours. Each night, before you close your eyes, take a moment. Breathe deeply. Place your hand on your chest and repeat. Even if your voice trembles, I am ready. I am moving forward. I am in control. Tomorrow is mine. That one phrase, said with intention, can change the course of your life, because men who master their nights conquer their days. There comes a time in every man's life when he realizes no one is coming to rescue him. No one is going to step into his mind to remove his fears, doubts, and insecurities. No one will live for him. No one will do the inner work he's been avoiding for years. And when that man accepts this truth, without fear, without excuses, without self-pity, something awakens. A quiet but unstoppable fire. And then he understands the mind is sovereign territory. What enters, what stays, what gets repeated, is his total, absolute, non-transferable responsibility. You may have spent years as a victim of your story, your circumstances, your inherited mental habits, but no more. Not after knowing this. Each night is a doorway. Each thought before sleep is a seed. Each affirmation with intention is a strike against the old self that holds you back. You have the power here and now to rewrite yourself. And the beauty is, you don't need fame, money, or perfect timing. You just need one decision. One, and the discipline to hold it each night like a warrior guarding his soul from mediocrity. Look back for a moment. How many times have you waited to feel ready? How many times have you delayed your reset because the day was hard, you were tired, or not in the mood? No more. Change doesn't require emotion. It requires repetition. It requires conviction. It demands that even when you're exhausted, you speak your truth. That even when you don't see results, you hold your vision. That even when everything outside says nothing's happening, you know that deep down something is. Because real transformation always begins in silence, in the unseen, in the internal. Every night is your workshop, your temple, your battlefield. And you walk into it as a creator or a slave. There is no middle ground. You decide whether you sleep programming greatness or reinforcing limitations. You decide whether you go to bed with complaints or with purpose. You decide whether you remain the same man or become the man you're meant to be. And that decision, repeated night after night, becomes your destiny, because no one stumbles into a powerful life. It's built, it's cultivated, it's installed in silence, in darkness, in the moments when everyone else is asleep, but you are awakening. The mind is plastic, it can be trained, and if you fully commit to your nightly ritual, no past will hold you back, no old belief will control you, no environment will limit you. Because a man who masters his mind is a man who masters his future. And that mastery doesn't come from theories or temporary motivation, it comes from fierce commitment, an intimate pact, an unshakable loyalty to the best version of yourself. So tonight, when you turn off the light, when the world disappears for a few hours, when no one is watching, remember this: what you say, think, and visualize in that moment is not a game. It's an act of creation, an act of power, an act of destiny. And if you honor it every night, there will come a day when you wake up in a life so different, so clear, so powerful, it will feel like magic. But it won't be magic. It will be effort. It will be intention. It will be choice. It will be you. It has always been you. And it starts tonight, right here, right now, in the silence, where great men are reborn.